welcome to my channel. I decided, because we are on quarantine, and a lot of you guys do know I do wear extensions. I do wear frontal weave extensions when I have color. So right now my hair is red. So this is a lace frontal unit. It's not a wig, but it is a frontal unit, and then there are tracks that are sewn in the back. So what I decided, because we are in quarantine, all the hair salons are closed, so I cannot go get my normal maintenance like I usually do. What I'm going to show you guys is how to do a lace frontal weave maintenance and then a relay. So as you can see, my lace frontal unit is coming off. It's no longer really sticky, and it's like getting, gooey and things like that. So I just want to pull everything up, clean it, and then start fresh. So let me guys show you on this tutorial. You guys are going to need, in order to lift up your frontal unit and then re-glue it back down. So we've got the alcohol wipes, or you can use alcohol in a like a big container, but unfortunately, because it is quarantine, those are kind of hard to find. So this is the alcohol that I have with me. I've got some cotton balls. I have a little container here. I've got a toothbrush that I only use for my hair, some pinback combs. I use Bold Hold, so I have the Skin Protectant Out, the Lace Remover, Bold Hold Extreme Cream, and the Bold Hold Max Silicone. And then I do have some detergent. This is what kind of dish liquid detergent. So these are all the things you're going to need. The first thing you're going to want to do is brush through your frontal unit, whether it be a lace frontal, weft extensions, or a wig unit. You're just always going to want to brush through the entire thing completely from the front all the way to the ends. That's going to help you just start with a clean level ground zero, kind of, so you know exactly what is going on. There's nothing, no flyaways, things like that. So step number 2 is using the Bold Hold Lace Remover. This product is going to help you lift up your unit. So what I'm going to do is spray the product on my hairline as well as the front of the unit itself. I want to make sure it's really well coated, because you're not trying to yank up your unit. You're just going to rub that solution in, and that will help the unit lift on its own. So now when you're rubbing, you don't want to rub too hard because you don't want to damage any of the lace frontal. My frontal is HD lace, so I have to be very careful with that frontal so it doesn't rip. So what I'm going to do is just rub it in, and as you can see that as it's being rubbed in, the unit is actually easily lifting off of the front hairline without me pulling it off. Now this is really important because you don't want to pull off your frontal unit. That can cause breakage and damage your hairline. So as we lift up the unit, we can see that there still is some glue on the hairline as well as under the unit itself on the front. So all of that is going to actually have to come off before you can relay it. So what you're going to do in this step is, So what you're going to want to do in this step is you want to tie up the remaining loose hair that you have out, because you don't want any of that to get in the way. You only want to work with the parts that are still sticky with glue at this point, which is the front of your own hairline and skin, as well as the front of the frontal. I'm going to go ahead and use that cotton pad and just wipe the front of my hairline and skin, because there is some glue residue still on there. Now, as you guys remember, in the previous step, we did generously spray that lace remover. Therefore, the glue residue is just really lifting up super easily, super pliable. Now, what you're going to want to do is wait 10 minutes in order for that glue lace remover to really soak in. So as I waited the 10 minutes, I realized that I did need to add a little bit more, because there was still some spots that needed to still lift up easy. Because it is on your hairline, on your skin, you do not want to rub so intensely or scrub, because it will break skin, and you also can damage your hairline and your baby hairs, which is not ideal and not something that we want to happen in this removal process. So you guys, I'm just going to continue to gently rub that solution into the front of my hairline as well as my skin and then wipe it away. So as you can see, with that cotton ball, I'm just wiping away the residue, anything that is left over. Because we did wait those 10 minutes, everything is very easily removable. Everything is just coming out very smoothly. I'm not having to scrub. I'm not having to yank any glue out. Everything's coming out very nicely. So you guys, what I'm going to do now is just rub in on the frontal very delicately on that lace frontal line, the remover that I had sprayed initially. I'm just rubbing it in, trying to lift and make that glue a little more pliable for me to work with. Okay, you guys, the next step is we are using the dishwasher detergent. I'm just putting a little bit in this glass here. Now, this is going to create a soapy solution that we're going to remove the glue off the lace with. I'm going to add a little bit of water in this cup, just a little bit. We don't want to make the solution too watery. So I'm just going to add a little bit and use that toothbrush that I use specifically only for removing the glue off my lace. Stir that solution up, and then I'm going to go ahead and start working in and gently scrubbing the frontal. I'm scrubbing it on the bottom, everywhere where I see there's glue, even just a little bit of glue residue, because we're really trying to get that lace clean. It is HD lace, so that should completely blend into your skin when it's clean. But if there's some glue left on it, it's one, it's not going to hold very well, and two, it's going to look like there's glue on the front of your frontal, which we don't want. So I'm going to continue just scrubbing through. So the importance of using a toothbrush, in my opinion, is because you are using lace and there are those small little holes in the lace, we're able to kind of clean that lace better with a toothbrush versus just kind of using our hands or using the cotton ball. It's able to get into those little holes. And then I'm also going to use that solution on the top of the frontal as well, because I don't want any glue residue on the top or the bottom. I want to make sure it's all clean throughout. So I went ahead and rinsed the frontal out off camera, but as you can see, there is still a little bit of glue residue. So I'm going back in with that soapy solution and hitting those spots that I missed the first time and just making sure that everything is super clean, because we want it to be super clean in order for us to relay it back down and have that nice tight hold. So now after rinsing out for another second time, I'm taking another look at the frontal, making sure it's how I like it, the glue is all out. And then I'm taking that soapy solution and kind of going across my hairline and on my skin, because the remover that I put on initially is a little bit oily. So I'm just trying to break that up before I go into my next step, which will be using shampoo and conditioner and cleaning my hair as well as the extensions. Alrighty, so I just went off camera and took a full shower, cleansed my own hair that's underneath the unit and the weaves, as well as the extension, the weave hair. So I soaped it, conditioned it, everything is super clean, all the glue is out, all the residue is out, and then what I'm going to do is make sure I am parting where I want to see my part while it's wet, because once it's dry, then I have to use more heat in order to change the part once it dries. So what I'm doing is just kind of parting it on the side. That's where I like to wear my hair. I've also done it in the middle or on the other side, but for today, I'm parting it on my left side, because that's where I want to see my hair part. All right, so now it's drying time. I personally use the Revlon Bonnet hair dryer because essentially it's the same thing as going to a salon and sitting under a hair dryer there. The reason why you want to use this over using a blow dryer is because you want to make sure that your braids are actually getting dry underneath your weave and extension hair. So your extension hair on the top could be dry, but you want to make sure that underneath those braids are dry, because if you don't, it could create mold and irritate your scalp. So ladies, get comfortable here because this thing takes about 2 to 4 hours to completely dry. So I'm gonna go ahead and watch some TV while I'm drying. Hey guys, I'm back and I let myself sit under that bonnet dryer for about 3.5 hours, and it seems as if everything for me is completely dry. My lace is dry, my braids are dry, my hair underneath the braids are dry. So everything is good and I'm good to go on to the next step and lay this thing down. All right, so now it is time to prep the hair. I'm using this Got to Be Glued gel, and I'm just going to put it along my hairline and make sure I'm getting all my baby hairs and flyaways and getting them pushed back and out of the way. You can use the freeze spray on this. You can use the Got to Be Glued in the black bottle, but I am just using the one in the yellow because that's what I currently have on hand. And I just feel like this one for me is very user friendly. Just making sure I'm taking a brush and really pushing back all of those baby hairs, because again, we are laying lace down and you don't want your hair to see through the lace, if that makes sense. Now I'm just going to blow dry this thing until it's completely dry. Takes about maybe 5 minutes for it to completely dry, so not too long. All right, so now that everything is all dry and all of our baby hairs are out of the way, I'm going to use the alcohol pads and kind of just rub around my front hairline just to get away any sticky, because again, we're gluing down our frontal and we don't want there to be any oils, any of the Got to Be Glued gel on there either. So after we do that, what I'm going to do is I take a comb and I basically am combing my extension hair away from the very edge of the frontal and clipping it back with those hair clips that I had in the beginning. So this is what's going to make all the difference when you're laying down your frontal, because remember, you're dealing with glue or you're dealing with silicone, and that is going to be sticky and tacky, and you don't want any of your frontal hair or your hair extensions to get in the way, just like you don't want your own baby hair to be in the way either, because we're not gluing the frontal onto our own hair. I repeat, we are not gluing the frontal onto our own hair. We are gluing it on the skin that is in front of our front hairline. So this is the part where I check the positioning of my frontal, because once I start putting that glue down, there's really no moving it. Now it's time to use the Bold Hold Skin Protectant Spray. This is going to prep it. This is also going to guarantee you a maximum hold. I just spray a little bit onto a cotton pad and rub it across my front skin in front of my hairline, basically in the exact same position that I rub the alcohol prep pads. This is going to ensure a maximum hold, and it's also going to protect your skin. Alrighty, it's glue time. So I have the Bold Hold Extreme Cream. This is a water-based glue. And I also have the Bold Hold Max, which is a silicone-based adhesive. So what I'm going to do is use both of them in a combination. I'm going to first start with the Bold Hold Extreme Cream. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to do this on camera. So I'm just placing little tiny dots around that frontal hairline that I have. So again, as you can see, I'm not putting any glue on my actual hairline. What I'm doing is I'm putting it on the front skin that's right before my hairline, and then I'm going to kind of smooth it out. I want to make sure that is a super thin layer, super even, and then I have to let it dry. So it takes about 2 to 5 minutes for it to dry. So now we have to wait a little bit for it to dry. Alrighty, so now I have to put a second layer. For this Bold Hold Extreme Cream, it says that you can put up to 5 layers, but I'm only gonna do about 2 because I'm also going to put the Bold Hold Max on top of it. So again, I'm going in trying to be as even as possible, and I'm only putting a little bit. I'm not using a ton. I'm really not. All right, you guys, so I am using this little hair clip to just test and see if it's tacky, which it was. So now I'm gonna go in with the Bold Hold Extreme Max. So this again is the silicone glue. So it is a little more sticky, it's more tacky. This one, you guys, is not for beginners. So you need to make sure you fully know how to put on glue, the water solvent glue first before you even attempt to use the Bold Hold Max, because it is more tacky, it is more sticky, it is harder to get off. I use this because I work out a lot, so for me, it is more resistant to sweat and to water. So we are coming up into the summertime. I want to use this when I work out and when I, am going swimming. As you guys can see, I'm putting just a thin, very, very thin layer of this max hold, just very slightly, and I'm putting it directly on top of where the Bold Hold cream was. So, oops, see how I got a little bit, and it's tacky. You guys, do not get it on anything besides where you're trying to put it, or else it can be a huge problem. All right, you guys, so basically once this gets tacky, I'm just going in and touching up the places where it needs to be a little bit extra. All right, guys, so now I'm going to go ahead and test and see that it is tacky. The glue has to be tacky before you lay down your lace, because that's how you're going to get the best hold. I waited about 10 minutes and it seems as if it's all tacky. So it's time to lay. So basically what I did is I had to do this off camera because it is extremely hard. You need to pay attention to detail. But I lay the lace piece by piece, and then I kind of just comb it down with a comb. Okay, so that's how you get that melted look. I had to do it off camera. There was no way to do it on camera because you do have to be very particular and pay attention to detail, or else this is going to come out a mess. So now what I'm doing is just going to take the little edges that are not all the way glued down. I'm going ahead and pressing them down so then it mimics my true hairline. I want this to be flawless, seamless. I don't want anybody to be able to see that I'm wearing a frontal. I want everybody to think this is my own hairline, so you have to be precise and very detailed. So on my particular frontal, because it is shorter than a normal one, I have to go in and kind of sew down these edges on the back, because as you can see on the corner, it is lifting and raising. So I have to kind of sew this part down. So now what I'm doing is just checking to make sure all of the edges are completely glued down. It looks as though there are a couple pieces that it could be glued down further. So what I'm going to do is take my Bold Hold Extreme Cream, and I'm just going to put a little bit on a metal clip and try to maneuver it underneath that lace and push it down. I have to do this off camera because, again, detail is key. So as you can see, I've done that off camera. I've glued it down. So now I'm going back in with my comb, and I'm just kind of pressing down and making sure that those pieces are really tacked onto my skin. I want to be able to pull it and have it not come up. So that's the goal. As you can see here, I do have a little bit of sticky because I did mess up a little bit. So what I always do is I go back in and I use my Bold Hold remover, and I'm just going to kind of clean up the edges just a little bit. And I'm not going to use a ton, but I'm just cleaning up a little bit around the edges on my skin where I put it down a little bit too far, because I don't want any sticky residue on my front of my head. I don't want to be able to touch it and have it be sticky. All right, you guys, so we are on the last step. Thank you so much for joining me with this process. What I like to do for this last step is just kind of take my blow dryer and blow dry the front of my frontal. I'm just trying to make sure that all the layers of glue, all the layers of the cream and the silicone are all sealed in and they are all sealed to my skin. So I have a really nice finish. So that's kind of why I use a blow dryer. You don't have to, but it's just something that I do personally. My hairdresser doesn't do it, but I do it when I do my at-home one. So now I'm going to take a scarf and I'm just going to wrap it around the front of my hairline because this is also going to secure. We're going to leave this on here and leave it on there for about 25 to 30 minutes. At least I do, just so that I do have that nice secure hold. I want to make sure everything's on. I just put in all this time, all this work, these hours, so I want to make sure everything is secured. Hey guys, alrighty, so that is how I do my maintenance at home on my lace frontal. So as you can see, everything is glued down. There's no sticky, there's nothing. I did have a little oopsie over here on the ear, but I went ahead and fixed that up, so now it's all nice. I will say though that my frontal that I have on right now is going to be it was a little more work that I had to do, like the sewing of this piece down here, and then kind of the cleanup and having to stretch and pull, only because my frontal is a little bit shorter than a normal frontal will be. So my frontal actually ends right before the ear. Normal frontals will come all the way down to the ear here on both sides. So I'm a little short on this side and a little shorter on this side, but this side isn't as noticeable as this one. So that's why I kind of had to fix it, and I misgauged a bit. But again, like when you pull it back, you can't really tell the difference here. But it is a little bit shorter because I did have a little bit of a scuffle when I went to Miami before we were all put on quarantine. So again, mine is a little bit shorter, but generally speaking, it will be a lot easier. You won't have to do all the sewing of that down like that if you're just lifting up the frontal, cleaning it, and then putting it back down. Alrighty, so that's kind of how I do it. Again, I'm not a professional. I know like my hairdresser, usually when I go get my maintenance done, he puts on a new cap for me, like a tan nude cap. So my hair is completely underneath right here, protected as well. But because, we can't go to the salon and I haven't quite figured out how to do that myself yet. Plus, I don't know where to get those because they're not essential. So, that will just have to do, and it's okay because I do have like a dark root at the top and my hair is dark. But now if I was wearing blonde or light pink, then that would be a different story. If I didn't have this dark root, then I definitely would need that cap. Alrighty guys, so that's all I have for you. Thanks so much for watching. Hopefully this helps some of you guys, and like, comment, subscribe. Thanks.